The Aspinall eye injury situation might be one of the strangest and most divided controversies I've ever had to break down, because this isn't just about the eye poke, this isn't just about the surgery, it isn't even just about the rematch, it's about the contracts, this is about the public perception, this is about whether Aspinall is being treated unfairly or whether he's exaggerating the situation for sympathy. Right now, there are two narratives floating around. One side believes Aspinall was brutally compromised by a double eye poke from Cyril Gane, and the UFC is now punishing him for something that wasn't even his fault. The other side believes Aspinall quit, wasn't really hurt, and has been milking this injury for sympathy while trying to pressure the UFC. And honestly, I'm kind of in the middle. It's obvious Tom was hurt. I fully support not continuing a fight when your vision is compromised, especially against someone like Gane. And let's be real, Gane has a history of illegal strikes. I made a whole video about that. I will link that in the description. But at the same time, the constant updates, the inconsistencies and contradictions have made this whole thing messy. So in this video, we're gonna break everything down, every clip, every statement, every medical report, every claim, every rumor, and by the end, we'll see if it's unfair treatment or self-inflicted chaos. A lot of people think this situation started with the eye poke. It didn't. It really started with this clip that went viral of Aspinall's dad pretty much talking about Aspinall's plans on leaving the UFC and getting into boxing. You can even see that in the description of this video right here. It says Aspinall's dad doesn't want him to sign a new contract with the UFC and instead wants him to transition into boxing. There's more money. He has 3 more fights on the contract now, and I don't want to sign a new contract.
You said that you wanted a boxing champion.
Yeah, for sure.
You're okay with an MMA champion, but you wanted a boxing champion.
Boxing for sure. The money is
More money. Yeah.
more money. Why not?
Would that be an outcome for him? No.
He's 3 more fights on the contract now.
Okay. So,
And I don't want to sign a new contract.
okay.
Personally.
Now, first off, I don't know who's asking for Aspinall in boxing, but if he can make money, I support it. The problem is we all know the UFC reacts negatively when you talk publicly about leaving or negotiating through the media. Dana White does not like that. And whether people want to admit it or not, that clip changed the temperature around Tom. After that, every situation involving him was viewed through a different lens. And you can tell Dana hasn't exactly been thrilled. Wherever this topic comes up, he just acts really weird about it. Now let's rewind to the actual fight, because this is where the chaos exploded. We're gonna take a quick look at the eye poke itself before we go in further.
Guys, I just got fucking poked knuckle deep in the eyeball. What the fuck? Why are you booing? What am I supposed to do about it? I didn't do the fucking poke. I can't see. This is bullshit. The fight was just getting going. Complete bullshit.
You can clearly see Gane's finger go into his eyes. The left eye looks like it took half the finger. The right eye looks like it got scraped. After the fight, Tom seemed to have more issues with the right eye. The one that didn't look that bad on the replay, and Fallon's immediately jumped. He's faking it, he quit, but that logic doesn't hold up medically speaking. Don't take my word for it. Take a look at what this eye doctor says.
Right off the bat, for any MMA fans watching this saying that Aspinall quit, that he was trying to duck Gane, and that he knew he was going to lose anyway, so he just claimed he couldn't see. Absolute, complete nonsense. There is nothing about what we saw here that should be regarded as him faking this or making this up. I don't care that one of his eyes was open during the interview. There is nothing about this that should be interpreted as him making an excuse or trying to get out of the fight. So let's talk about what we're seeing here with this eye poke. What you have to remember, right, a lot of times when we think of an eye poke and the more serious ones, we think about whether or not the eyelid was open or the eyelid was closed. In this case, for certainly Aspinall's right eye, it seems like his eyelid was closed. His left eye, it seems like that fingernail of Cyril Gane does get underneath his eyelid. But what we also have to remember is it's not just about the contact to the eyeball itself, but also the direct pressure that is being applied onto the eye and what that can do in terms of pain and real trauma damage, potentially vision threatening, to the eyeball. So Number one, thing that we're going to care about with an eye poke that's going to cause the majority of that immediate reaction is going to be something called a corneal abrasion. Looking at our biodigital anatomy tool here in a cross-section of the eye, looking straight on, the cornea is going to be the thin, sort of superficial layer of cells that are the first thing that your finger is going to come into contact with whenever you poke somebody in the eye. Your body wants to protect your eye, and when it senses trauma, when there's damage to the eye, it's going to reflexively want to tear up to protect things. It's going to want to stay closed. And so is it that he physically couldn't? To a degree, yes. Sometimes those reflexes just cannot be overcome, and you cannot keep your eye open long enough before your body and your brain say no.
So medically speaking, it's absolutely possible that it looked less bad on replay, but it was actually worse. That alone doesn't prove anything, and I will link that video in the description so you can watch the full video explaining the difference between the eye poke and an eye scrape and how both of them are just as bad. After the fight, Tom goes to the hospital, and this is where fans start getting uncomfortable because he's filming everything. To me, that makes sense because Tom is a content creator, all right? He films his life, his training, everything. But two moments stood out. First, he's coughing while the eye is being checked. And secondly, asking the doctor if the fight should actually have been stopped.
The best part about fouling, right, is that it works. So the best thing you can do is like keep your head in the game, and I'll do everything I can to manage.
All that training for that. Don't worry about it.
It's gonna be okay, mate.
What the f is he doing?
The left one was really deep. The left one was really deep.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, but
So you can see he's talking to someone and they're trying to say, yeah, the left one looked really bad. And he's trying to let them know, both of them. As you can see in the video here, he already has an eye patch on the right eye. And they're like, the left one was really bad. And he's trying to say, no, both of them were bad.
What's about your vision?
I can't.
I have to
Ow.
check.
Okay, go on.
All right, this is just funny to me because, I mean, the woman is like, do you want to video something? Like, she's trying to work, she's trying to check the eye out, and I guess his dad or whoever is just all on the way with the camera. And then when she tries to, you know, see how painful it is, try to check it, he's like, ow, and then he coughs. Let me just rewind that a little bit. I shouldn't be laughing because I cannot judge how someone reacts to an eye poke, but I just feel like coughing from a pain from an eye poke is just it's a funny reaction to me.
It was actually both eyes, but this one was. He did like that.
What is his name?
Ah!
Okay, I'm very sorry.
Oh.
When I pull up or what?
Just
or
burned.
when I put the light
Yeah,
in?
the light.
When the light.
I mean, honestly speaking, I mean, it looks funny if he's actually faking, but I really, at this moment right now, I really don't believe he's lying or exaggerating, but it gets deeper than that. But let's take a look at the other clip where he's asking the doctor if that fight should have been stopped, which to me is a weird question.
Yeah, we can go sleep.
Are you glad he stopped the fight as well? It's good that he stopped the fight.
Yeah. Of course. This is, you should stop the fight until you are good again and until you're cleared from ophthalmology department from our side. After, not for this visit, after the second visit, after make sure everything coming back to normal, the vision, I think everything. Okay?
Okay.
But we didn't find anything dangerous.
There it is, the doctor saying at the end, right now, they didn't find anything dangerous. And, you know, of course they should have stopped the fight. When there's an eye poke, you stop the fight. I think the fighter who had the eye poke should get a point deducted. They need to take it more serious. And again, like I said, I don't blame Tom for not wanting to fight with a compromised eye against someone like Cyril Gane. But on the other hand, you know, the dad or whoever is holding the camera asking the doctor, oh yeah, you think it's good they stopped the fight, right? It's like trying to get this reassurance from an outsider to say, hey, I'm not crazy. He didn't quit. The fight should have been stopped. Now, let me be honest. If I get eye poked and I can't see, I don't need a doctor to validate that stopping the fight was correct. All right. I can see why critics say it looked like he was fishing for some type of confirmation, almost like, see, even the doctor agrees again, not proof of lying, but perception does matter, especially in this situation. Then came the updates of the double vision. He can't see properly, trouble with depth perception, surgery, recovery timelines, more symptoms. His father says he can't see weeks after the fight. And here's the thing, injuries evolve, symptoms can change, But when there is constant updates and there's not really any consistent symptom or explanation of what exactly is going on, fans start to speculate. And this skepticism becomes visible when Dana White, for example, is asked about it. Now, this is the first clip I'm going to play just as a reminder on Dana White's reaction the night of the fight, when the fight was ruled to an accidental eye poke, no contest. This is what Dana had to say. Eye poke, what has to happen for it to be categorized as an intentional eye poke? And as the president of the UFC, you know, you would expect him to come prestigious with an answer, defend his champion, and, you know, make sense out of the whole situation. Let's see what Dana has to say.
Big question, right? It was ruled a no contest because of an unintentional eye poke. What does it take to make an eye poke intentional, and is there even a way you could ever prove that?
Who gives a shit? What are you gonna do?
I know we, tried to do new gloves before and that kind of thing.
By the way, he said, who gives a shit? What are you gonna do? Eye pokes happen every day, B. What you gonna do about it? Eye pokes happen every day. Hey, very good question from the president of the UFC.
And you definitely can't make somebody continue if they feel they've been injured. Only Tom knows what happened. You know, could he see, couldn't he see, could he continue? Only he knows that.
No, we all know what happened, Dana. There's a video of it. You know, you can play it in slow-mo in case you don't know what happened. He got double eye poked. And I think it's funny that his attitude is, you know, eye pokes happen, man. What are you going to do? It's part of the sport. It is what it is. Stop bothering me with the eye poke question. And then, of course, we get to Dana White's response to the Tom Aspinall update. He's not been getting the best response when he comes to being asked about it. He's always getting some type of backlash. Rightfully so, because the way he talks about his heavyweight champion, you would think this man doesn't give a damn about this organization anymore. And there's a lot of evidence to point to that, but I digress. Take a look at what Dana White says when he's asked about Tom Aspinall's eye injury update.
For me, Tom Aspinall did interviews recently saying that his eye is not better. He was a little bit disappointed with some comments you made. Have you spoke to Tom? Do you know anything about that? And what's your reaction to what he said?
I have not. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't remember exactly what I said. What did I say? That is,
just said you think that
I think his eyes are okay. Yeah.
Since normal pay-per-view, David with MMA Myanmar.
Hold on, so I'm still talking to this guy.
Sorry, my bad.
Here's the thing. So obviously, and I know Tom said, you know, I haven't even talked to him and all that stuff, but we have people all over him right now, you know, checking up on him, making sure he's good. Does he need any help or, you know, any specialists? Yeah, I'm no doctor. I'm just saying what I've heard. And that was in no way, you know, it wasn't said in a way that they're like, oh, what do you think? I said, I think he's fine. Or it wasn't like that. I said, I think Tom's eyes are good. He's going to take some time, heal, come back to, you know, that's all I said.
That's all you said, Dana. I understand that, but I think it's really funny that he says he's no doctor, so he can't confirm what's wrong with it. Oh, but he can give an opinion on if he's good. He thinks his eye is good. He thinks his eye is fine. He's gonna be back. He's gonna be okay. He's good. He's exaggerating. So he can give an opinion that says Tom Aspinall is exaggerating, you know, indirectly, but he can't give an opinion to defend Tom Aspinall. Make it make sense. Quite obvious, Dana doesn't seem overly concerned, and when the president of the UFC publicly downplays your injury, that shapes fans' opinion instantly. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. Now, of course, this leads into things escalating. Rumors start spreading that the UFC might release Tom Aspinall completely unverified, but multiple fighters, insiders are hinting that the UFC does want to release Tom Aspinall. And this is what Josh Thompson had to say about Tom Aspinall potentially being released. Again, unverified.
The reports are out that the UFC asked Tom Aspinall to vacate the title until he was ready to go. And he said he'd be willing to vacate the title as long as they released him. Now, that opens the door so he can go ahead and box. This is a really weird situation. The heavyweight division is just a total shit show right now. And it's been a shit show since the John Jones coming in, not wanting to fight, you know, the interim champion, which was Tom Aspinall at the time, and then fighting Stipe. No disrespect to Stipe, you know, but it was just, John had something in mind, and the UFC didn't squash that. They allowed that fight to happen, And it just led into this thing where the heavyweight division's been on hold since the John Jones debacle, I guess you would call it. Bottom line is, Jailton Almeida is gone. Okay, they just released him. Tom Aspinall, if he is gone, John Jones doesn't seem like he's coming back, especially not to the heavyweight division. We have a mess. We have a disaster on our hands. The heavyweight division and the 205-pound division, the light heavyweight division, both weight classes are the worst that they've ever been. And these used to be the pillars. This used to be what would carry the promotion. When the merger of Strikeforce and the UFC happened, the heavyweight division was the strongest it had ever been. And the light heavyweight division, honestly, UFC was built off of the light heavyweight division. This is wild to me, man. The 135, 145, 155, and 170 right now are carrying the sport of MMA and definitely carrying the UFC. More to come.
I mean, Josh Thompson pretty much summed it up right there. The heavyweight division is absolute trash right now, especially ever since the whole debacle with Francis Ngannou, releasing him, and then the whole debacle with John Jones, the whole ducking. Everything has just been a mess. They're releasing Jailton Almeida, who, yes, had two boring fights in a row, but before that, had 2 finishes in a row. Meanwhile, someone like Tai Tuivasa, who's on a 6-fight losing streak, is still ranked. Very weird. Everything is upside down. It just doesn't make sense. Finally, we get a big fight between Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane, and of course, he ends in an eye poke. And now we're not even sure if the rematch is gonna happen. I mean, they just need to bring Francis back, man. I think that's the only solution on their hands right now. But we all know that's not going to happen. If Tom is out 3 to 4 months minimum after his surgery, the heavyweight division stalls, and after John Jones' interim chaos, the UFC probably doesn't want another situation where belts are tied up. So I can absolutely see why they'd prefer him to vacate. That doesn't mean it's right, but from a business standpoint, it totally tracks. So of course, makes sense Tom Aspinall is frustrated. He's been on Ariel Helwani several times and pretty much expressed his frustration with Dana White specifically and the way the UFC treats their fighters.
Dana White is there, and his demeanor initially seemed to be one of someone who was upset, annoyed. And then he said the line that has been dissected.
You know, Tom didn't want to continue in the fight, so.
When you heard his comments, how did you react?
Slightly disappointing because he was already giving updates on my health and he had no idea what had gone on. So disappointing, mate. Disappointing.
If he would have come up and said, poked in the eye, illegal, couldn't see, couldn't continue, serious injury, etc., people would have laid off. They would have taken cues from him.
It definitely didn't help the cause.
Have you spoken to him since?
No.
Is that disappointing?
I've spoken to the UFC since, but I've not spoken to... me and Dana don't really speak like that anyway, so...
You're the heavyweight champion of the world. You're a huge star. You've taken fights on short notice. You've been backup fighter. You stayed on the sidelines for etc. It surprises me that you have no kind of relationship with him.
I don't really know what to say. That's the way it is.
Has he sent you a text or DM in the aftermath?
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. He actually he started giving updates that there was nothing wrong with my eye when that isn't the case. So
right.
No, I've done a lot for the UFC. So
of course, Tom Aspinall is clearly frustrated, clearly feels disrespected, and here's the part that makes it tricky. If Tom truly feels like the UFC is pressuring him to push back or vacate, that's a problem. But if the UFC feels like Tom is exaggerating the injury publicly while hinting at leaving the company, that's also a problem. This is no longer about the eye, this is about a power struggle. And then of course we get into this picture that went a little viral. Weird stickers on the picture, but if you see here, that's Tom Aspinall 1 day post surgery, and we're gonna go into that surgery because that came with some backlash. Of course, as you can see here, his eye is really red, which is an irritation from the eye surgery. It looks pretty bad, but full disclosure, this is how an eye looks when any type of performance cosmetic or any type of surgery is done. It's a symptom of an irritation. Don't take this as a picture that makes it look like, oh my God, Tom Aspinall's eye is worse. He's getting blind. No, it's just a reaction. But yeah, it does look bad. And then that leads us into this article from Ariel Helwani's Uncrowned Sports on Yahoo Sports, where they talk about the most recent update with Tom Aspinall, post or pre-surgery, whatever. The most recent update they've gotten from him. So you see here, it says, it was anticipated that the Gane fight would change Aspinall's life, but not in the way it has. Nearly 4 months later, the champ still can't track moving targets. His eyes hurt if he sends too many text messages. He gets vertigo if he changes direction suddenly. He misses people's hands when he tries to shake them. He can no longer do the thing that gives him an identity since he was a child. Hell, he struggles to do the most basic drills. Sometimes he struggles to play with his kids. He has to ask people to drive him to most places he goes to and ask them, those same people, to bring him back home afterward. So a lot of things there, right? He can't play with his kids. He's not shaking people properly. This is not saying he can't do these things specifically. It's just saying he can't do it as well as he used to. Now, the reason why there was a backlash to this is right after this article was put out explaining the update, the surgery and all that, hey, Tom Aspinall, you got to feel bad for him, man. You guys need to apologize. Stop calling him a liar. Tom Aspinall then posts a video doing most of these things that they said he couldn't really do that well. So Tom Aspinall posted this video titled "My First Time in Italy, Tom Aspinall Vlog." So this is the video where he goes to Italy. I guess that's where he has his surgery, and that's the first clip on this video right here.
Looking straight ahead again.
Hi guys, that's me done. I've just had double eye surgery, and this video was filmed in Italy a couple of weeks ago, before the eye surgery obviously.
And then in the same video we have this clip of him hitting pads with his dad. He's kind of hitting it slow. Now this is another thing, because now it's like, okay, Tommy boy, are you really that slow because of your eye, or are you just trying to look sad? I'm not making any of these claims, but I'm just saying how things can be translated. Just take a look at this.
Great, 4, 5, let's go.
Now, to be fair, that may be a stretch. Hey, he's just hitting the pad slow. It doesn't really mean anything. But a lot of people were commenting and talking about how he's just trying to look sad with his dad and all that stuff. Now, one of the symptoms they talked about when providing the update for Tom Aspinall was, he can't shake hands properly. He can't play with his kids as much or something like that. But then in this same vlog, his first time in Italy, he's shaking all the fans' hands, having a grand time, playing soccer, not really playing in the field, but playing, right? He does a lot of things that the article says he couldn't really do that much. Signing autographs, which I guess, you could do. Yeah, right, there you go.
It's too small for me, that.
Maradona.
Let me tell you something, man. I played a lot of soccer when I was young. For him to do what he just did, take a look at this, right? This, in my opinion, right, objectively speaking, this is almost damn near impossible to do if you have all those symptoms that you talked about. Again, I'm not saying Tom Aspinall is lying or anything like that, but there may be a little bit of exaggeration. Maybe, who knows? Maybe it was a late update. Maybe this video was recorded way after the surgery, so he's better, who knows? But the point is, this right here does not match someone who's having those symptoms with his eye, not being able to see direction. It takes good eyesight to be able to do that. That's when critics go crazy. Like, wait, I thought he couldn't play with his kids. Now, to be fair, the article, like I said, says he's having trouble, not that he is completely incapable, but visually it contradicts the emotional severity described earlier, and the optics absolutely matters. So now we get into the most complicated part of this video. Tom Aspinall mentions earlier needing laser surgery for bilateral Brown syndrome and orbital wall fracture, and doctor publicly responded saying laser surgery is not standard treatment for those conditions, and essentially calls him out. To be fair, I don't know who the hell this guy is, and I'm not even gonna bother looking him up, because even if he's a real eye doctor, every doctor has different opinions, but he says something here that's really important. And a lot of people who are doubting Tom Aspinall are taking this so-called former eye doctor's word for bond. But take a look at what he says about Tom Aspinall's situation and his eye injury and the surgery.
You know, two choice. You know, one was, you know, to get injection, you know, low concentrated steroid or normal saline water. That's all. And the other is, you know, stay calm and keep watching. You know, that's all. Yesterday, he blogged some pictures about his LASIK surgery. And today, he also uploaded the picture about his red eyes the one day after surgery. You know, it makes me smile, because if he keeps saying about his ocular surgery or ocular damage, it will make him a liar, or it will screw up his career. Because a lot of people can't know what the fact is, because his surgery is not severe. It's very simple surgery to correct myopia, not for damage. And well, the red eye is simple irritation after LASIK or LASIK surgery or subconjunctival hemorrhage. It's a red eye. That's all. His red eyes will be recovered within maybe 10 days without, you know, any treatment. Yeah. So it's normal, you know, normal, very simple irritation sign. So I was a big fan of UFC, but I'm disappointed with this situation, because, you know, he's a UFC heavyweight champion, but I hope that he stopped lying. His eye is okay. I'm a retina specialist. I spent almost 24 years for becoming a retina specialist, eye doctor. And I did almost 5,000 ocular surgeries.
This guy's name is Dr. LASIK, and he looks like he's legit. He has about 177,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he looks like, you know, he's legit. He's legit, man. So I really don't see any reason why he would be accusing Tom Aspinall for lying if he really didn't believe it. But at the end of the day, I feel like even though the surgery wasn't for the symptoms that Aspinall has talked about and the medical report and all that stuff, it's undeniable that he had eye surgery, all right? It's verified. You can look at the video. I can link it in the description as well. You can look at the screenshots, the machine, everything is legit. That clip we watched was legit eye surgery. So it is serious either ways. And this is where things get messy, because we don't have a full medical documentation. We don't know if it was LASIK specifically. We don't know if it was corrective laser work. We don't know if it was preventative. There's a lot of things missing, and when there's missing information, narratives will eventually fill in the gap. That's just what happens. And here's where I stand. I don't believe Tom Aspinall is lying about being injured. That eye poke was real. The damage was real. Any eye surgery, in my opinion, is serious, but the constant updates, the vague medical explanations, the emotional tweets, the public contract tension, it all creates confusion, and confusion breeds doubt. I think Tom genuinely feels wrong. I also think he could have handled this quieter and cleaner, because now, instead of fans focusing on the illegal strike, they're debating whether he's exaggerating, and it doesn't matter. It shifts the sympathy away from Tom. At the end of the day, the situation exposed three things: how quickly fans turn, how cold the UFC can be in business, and how dangerous public transparency can be when details aren't outright. Hopefully Tom heals properly. Hopefully the rematch with Gane gets booked, because the heavyweight division desperately needs clarity. I did make a full video breaking down Cyril Gane's illegal strikes, over 20 of them in his career. Check that out on the screen after this. What do you think? Is Tom exaggerating? Is the UFC treating him unfairly? Or are you somewhere in the middle like me? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. I'll see you next time. Peace.